My name's John Stufflet. Call me Renegade, 357. I got the handle from, I was young. I was 76, 77 when I got into radio, and Russ got me hooked up right out in the parking lot. My handle came from, I liked the Jeep, Renegade Jeep. Yeah, that's about it, and I haven't changed it. It's been the same handle. And you heard my close friend Mike talk about people changing names, and I kept the same name. Periodically, I would leave radio and then come back. Things would change in life, and I left my first house. The antenna's still up. I left that house in '95. That antenna's still in the house. The guy never took it down. The house I moved into didn't have one, but I was on the radio through my truck. The biggest break I took was right after 9/11. From 9/11 to, what was it, Mike, about 2014, 2015? When did the skip cycle stop? It was like 14, 15, I got back into it again. That was the biggest CS that I've taken. But it was nice because when I came back in 2000, we'll say 14, I came back in 2014, I keyed up the radio in 15, was talking to people. The guys delivering the papers was talking to Frito. And Frito was like, "What's your handle?" I said, "Renegade." He goes, "Were you on the radio back in the 80s and 90s? I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You get really long hair and a beard, don't you?" And I was like, "Well, I used to." He said, "Who's this again?" He goes, "It's Frito." I went, "Oh my God, I remember you." Very nostalgic, because it takes you back to a time when, and that's what radio does, a lot of radio does. You see stuff I got like an old radio behind me. It takes you back to a time that was pristine. We'll never see that ever again. The freedom that we had as kids growing up was just remarkable. Oh my God, riding bicycles, adventures down the creek. That's something from Delco. You'll hear people in Delco say crick, or creek, it's actually creek. I mean, we call it the crick. Going out, coming back, we were kicked out of the house, in the morning, go out and play. Don't come back until it's dark. You don't see that today. I was 12, almost 13. I got it for my birthday. It was an early present for my birthday. I was one of the kids that would get radios and get on there and were just annoying to all the adults. There's a time period from like when I got on 76 that I know of, all the way up until like 93, 94. Then computers took over. But Christmas time was, you'd always get the kids on the radio keying up, and we'd be like, "Oh, Jesus, God, man, they're so annoying." But you know what? They're adults today. I mean, you didn't have the mindset back. You didn't have the foresight to see what was going to be. To tell you about the radio, my very first radio I had was a Sears Road Talker. And a friend of mine's brother was a truck driver, and he had a radio in his dad's car. So he's like, "If you get one, we could talk back and forth from house to house." So we were like, okay. So I seen, he had one. And my family was big into Sears. We used to get the Sears catalog and all that shit. It was like that. And we went up to Sears. There's a whole bunch of them. They had a whole rack set up next to the guns. There was the CB radios. I picked out the one I wanted. It was just an AM radio. I still have it, as a matter of fact, today. I still have it. And I was like, okay, we just plug this in and work. And the guy goes, "No, you have to have somebody professional set it up." So I asked the guy, "Well, where do I do that at? Do you guys do it here?" And he gave me R&R's card and said, "Go down and ask for Russ." So my dad immediately left Sears. We drove down here. And there was nobody down here at that time. It was odd because, it was also during the week. My dad was self-employed, so he could do what he needed to do with his time. We came down here and Russ said, "Yeah, sure." We did it right out in the parking lot. Having trouble getting a match on the radio. So he said, "There's too much paint on the gutter of your truck. We're going to have to sand some paint off." My dad's like, "What'd you say?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead, do it." Russ took a file to my dad's side of my dad's truck. My dad's like, "I don't know if you have a..." But yeah, right after that, I started meeting. I met a girl right on the radio right then and there. That day, she was on her dad's bass, and I was on my mobile, and another guy down the tracks along Chester Creek. We started talking. I ended up talking to my friend who's lived up at Kate's Market, and it was amazing because at that time, no matter when you turn the radio on, there was somebody talking. I used to sneak out to my dad's truck 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be a full-blown conversation going on. I mean, there was a noise level that was just as much with people talking at night, that late at night, as there was during the day. All right, CB was the latest technology for communications, for hobby, for work. There was no cell phones, computers. There was no texting, sending emails. There was no CDs. We had things on vinyl. It was the latest thing that was out there. And they were expensive. Compared to what your average income was, they were expensive. I mean, I saved up a year's worth of money to buy my next radio after that one. My dad bought that and he couldn't believe how much it cost. After that, I bought a used one. Matter of fact, it was down here. With money I saved up for a year from start delivering papers. It's a Pace 8092. This one kind of broke the mold for a lot of CBs because it has a clock. It's the only mobile that comes with a clock. Yeah, when all your base stations, clocks were big. This was the first and only mobile that had a clock in it. That's one of my things that I like. I like a lot of odd stuff. I got a lot of odd and old radios. I probably got, I don't know, 70, 80 radios at home. But yeah, and the receive one, this one's excellent. And one of the remarkable things with this radio is the noise blanker. The noise blanker does not affect your receive. So when you turn a noise blanker down, a lot of times you get a decrease in your signal, no decrease in the signal. This box is our internet, this box is our cell phone. This box was our only means of communications outside of a landline that was mounted on the wall in your house. This building, R&R Communications, was the first social media website, or media site, not website. This was the first social media site. People would come down here and gather. Even as a young guy coming down here, by this point I was like 13, 14 when Dad would drive me down here. This place would be packed on Saturdays. There'd be a line before they open up going down there. And most of the times I only needed something really tiny, but I just liked hanging down here. And my dad's sitting there looking at his clock. I'd be down here for like 2.5 hours just talking to everybody out here. Sometimes I'd lose my place in line because just like it was like a family atmosphere. And that atmosphere had stayed from that point up until today. There's a family atmosphere here at R&R Communications, always has been. I've known Russ for a really long time. When I came back down here, after my siesta from radio for a little while, I came down here. Russ didn't change. I said, hey, how you doing? He looked a little bit older. Hey, come on in. He didn't recognize me. So he started talking. He goes, your voice sounds familiar. Because have you been down here before? I said, yeah, many times. I said, I can't believe you don't know. Renegade, John Stufflet. And he goes, you used to have a long beard and hair. And I said, yeah. He goes, oh my God. He goes, dude, I haven't seen you in years. He used to ride with a club that I knew the co-founders to the club. So there was like a combination there. There was like a bond there. Yeah. Jerry, when he passed away, pocket change. He was a really nice guy. He's a really nice guy. And there's been a couple. We just recently had a fellow pass away, Jack the plumber. He was another good one. Yeah, Jack was always at breakfast with us. Well missed. All right, yeah, once the door closes here in R&R, the biggest thing I'm gonna miss isn't even for myself. The biggest thing I'm gonna miss is like techs, the older fellas that would come down here. Like, you come down here during work hours, when most of us are working, there's older fellas here that hang out. They have coffee and donuts. There's a fella who used to come down here and bring a box of Joe and Dunkin' Donuts, or they'd buy pizzas and have lunch down here. I feel sorry for those guys. Those guys, they're not gonna have that. You know, me, I'm gonna miss just what we're doing here right now. We're all down here talking, you know, sharing things that happen during the week, what's going on with us. That's a lot. I mean, we could do that on the radio, but it's always nice to have that face-to-face bond with who you're talking to, putting a face to a voice. That's what this place was really, outside of fixing radios, naturally outside of fixing radios. Outside of fixing radios, the voice-to-face bond that you get with the guys on the radio, yeah, that's going to be deeply missed.